Hi, I am in Pahrump, Nevada, right outside of the DMV in Nevada, because I decided to become a Nevada resident. So let me tell you why and how I did it, in case it is something you're entertaining. Let's talk about it. So this is the many people that do not live here or do not or have never thought of this before may ask, why do you need to become a resident in Nevada or South Dakota or Florida or Texas or Wyoming or Tennessee or so many other states that may be interesting for people to go and become residents of? So first of all, I think I have to say, why did I decide to not be a resident in Minnesota anymore? That would be the simpler idea. On the one hand, Minnesota is really cold in winter. People die because they get frozen. And this is not like the cartoon. I mean, the movie is not a fun thing. People lose fingers, the tips of their noses, ears. Minnesota is the winters. They're really tough, and you have to know how to drive on ice or snow. It's not an easy thing to live in Minnesota. Is it beautiful? Absolutely. In summer or winter, Minnesota is absolutely beautiful. But since I am not working anymore, working and living in Minnesota made sense. Since I am not working there anymore, what is the point of being 6 months of the year under very dark skies, lots of clouds all the time, and 4 or 5 of those months extreme cold? It didn't make any sense to me. That is the weather perspective of things, one of the motivations. The other part is Minnesota is not a friendly state for nomads. And that doesn't mean they are not friendly to you. It just means you cannot park and camp anywhere in Minnesota. I mean, you could go to a state park or something like that, but there are limits, and there are some things. I may be talking out of lack of experience, but I have read many things about reviews about parks in Minnesota where people were complaining about poachers leaving the carcasses of animals they hunt, and they just leave there, because hunting and fishing is a huge thing in Minnesota. And apparently that happens a lot because not many people go camping, or at least not during the winter, of course. It is a very dangerous thing. You could go to a campground and pay to stay in a campground, but they close on October 1st. So for the winter, there are no campgrounds in Minnesota. There is nothing. So if you're a nomad, you actually have to rent an apartment and live there, because you are not a nomad in Minnesota. So for me, after years of watching YouTube videos about becoming a nomad, being a nomad, traveling in your vehicle, to me, there was no question. I had to change my residency. I had to. And so my options were all those states I mentioned. Of course, I mean, being in Minnesota, South Dakota is next door, so it's very convenient. It's there. And you only need to stay in a hotel for one night, and then with that receipt the hotel gives you, you go to the DMV and you say, I want to become a resident of South Dakota, and they do give you the residency just because you stayed one night in South Dakota, which is absolutely doable, easy, convenient, cheap, or not expensive. And so that is a great possibility, except for one thing. If you're going to be a nomad and you're going to be going places like visiting, I don't know, the Grand Canyon, the Great Dune National Park, or so many other places that are to be visited, and if you're going to have a nomad life, South Dakota is the same as Minnesota. There are not too many places where you can park, maybe a couple of them. I am thinking of the Badlands and a couple of other places, but it's not that easy. I mean, you can, but you cannot live there. And when the winter comes, it is, I mean, you're risking your life, literally. So in my book, South Dakota was not an option for one other reason. My scope, my areas of interest is Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, California somehow, Oregon, the Southwest. And if I am in the Southwest and I have to go to South Dakota to, I don't know, renew my license or my registration or anything, I have to drive 3 or 4 days to get there. That is out of the question for me. So I had to change drastically and think, okay, the North doesn't help me in that way, so I have to think of the South. Do I want to drive to Florida if I am in the West, in the Southwest? Do I want to drive to Florida? Not at all, because the extreme heat is not something I am looking forward to have either. Tornadoes and all the other things. So as you see, weather is kind of a determining factor here. So my possibilities were becoming narrower and narrower, and Nevada kept being at the top of the list all the time. So I finally decided, okay, it has to be Nevada. Nevada is centrally located when you're moving around Arizona, New Mexico, California, Oregon. Nevada is in the center of all of that. So you drive 4 or 5 hours, you are there. If you need a doctor, if you need anything from your state, Nevada is, to me at least, and considering that I want to be in the Southwest, to me, that is my option. You have to think of all those details. Does the state you want to be in allow you to overnight anywhere? Do they provide you with services that you can use as a nomad? Is the weather good for you all year round? Because you are going to be there. If you are not going to be there, is it easy for you to go back there if you need services of some sort? So those are the things you have to consider. In the end, if you decide you want to become a Nevada resident, let me tell you what needs to be done. It is not as easy as South Dakota. You cannot stay in a hotel for just one night and show that receipt. Oops. You have to prove that you lived in Nevada for at least 30 days. So, if you think of that, staying in a hotel for 30 days would be okay, but it's a lot of money. A lot of money. Even with free breakfast, I don't think it is very convenient. Not for us, not for nomads. We do have our home with us, so it doesn't make sense either. But you absolutely can go to a campground and stay there for a month. The only thing you need is the receipt, the contract, saying that you're staying there for 30 days or that you're on a monthly basis. That is enough. That is good. And you don't actually have to be in the campground. You don't need to stay 30 days there. You're free to go, and roam about if you have that contract. So let me tell you what I did. I got to Nevada after coming from the Netherlands. I drove from Minnesota to Highway 40 and Highway 40 West until I got to Nevada. And my stop, it was going to be Carson City, but for some reason I stopped in Pahrump. And even if at first the impression was not the best, I am so glad I chose Pahrump. Such a nomad-friendly town. I will tell you more about that. What I did is this. I got to Pahrump, and unfortunately, it was Thanksgiving, so all the campgrounds were full, completely full. So I went a little bit into panic mode. I didn't know Pahrump. The only thing I could see trying to look for a campground where to stay, the only thing I could see was lots of casinos and people drinking and gambling. That is all that was obvious. So my first impression of Pahrump was negative because I was exhausted. I had had my 10 time zones of jet lag, and I was really messed up. My brain, my body, I was tired, I was exhausted. I got here and I couldn't get a campground to stay at. And guess what saved me in the end? The notion, the idea that I am a nomad. I don't need a campground to exist. And I don't have time or timelines to comply with. So it took me some hours to get to that point. But then I found BLM land, the Bureau of Land Management allows you to stay there and park your vehicle and camp there. So guess what? I always wondered why Pahrump was so popular with nomads. Well, the reason is the town is 8 blocks or 10 blocks away from BLM land. And you do your things in town, and then you drive 10 blocks, and you are in BLM land. So you can park there and have your camp there, and nobody bothers you. And you're in the middle of the desert with beautiful views of the mountains, and you can stay there. There are no signs saying maximum stay 14 days or anything like that. It doesn't say anything. So even though we know it's 14 days. In some places, BLM allows for 21 days. Here, there are no signs. So, and I saw many people staying there. Just some of them are in a motorhome, but they have palm trees planted in plant pots around their sites, and they have their grills out there and chairs and a rug, and they live there. They actually live there. So then it became obvious why Pahrump is so popular in a state where there are not too many people living in as residents in that state. It is logical that there are some spots where nomads are tolerated, because it's not a state. It is not a state that is overpopulated or anything like that. That is my theory about this. But in any case, I came to Pahrump. I had to wait a couple of days until I found a campground that actually had room for me. So what I did is I talked with the guy. I say, hey, I need a 1 month contract. Sure, no problem. So much. And I'll tell you what I paid. I paid $400 for the whole month. And as I said, I just needed the contract. I don't really need to stay in the campground. So a friend of mine asked me, well, are you going to stay there? No, absolutely not. Because I have a thing. I have a little bit of allergies when it comes to campgrounds. Simple reason, you're parked in a way that you don't have too much distance from your neighbors. So if your neighbors snore, you can hear them. If they have kids or pets or anything, you will live with all those people and animals together. You become part of a big family. So I like people, I like pets, but I don't like to live with the same people that I don't know for a whole month. So the most important thing was the contract. So I got the contract, I paid my $400, and I slept in BLM land ever since. So it's a very relaxing, freeing experience. Because actually, when I went to Death Valley, which is 1 hour away from here, I stayed there for a couple of nights because there is BLM land there as well. So you don't need to be bound to just the one campground. You can roam when you have your home with you. Easy. So I came back to the DMV with my contract. Oh, and before that, I wanted to register my vehicle here too, because I don't want to have to go to Minnesota. Imagine I have to take a flight to go there to renew my license once a year, because I'm not going to drive 4 or 5 days again to get there, 3 days, whatever it takes. I am not going to put that effort in, and I am not going to spend all that much money in gas or meals or whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to become a Nevada resident. So I have to do everything here and have my life transferred over here. So for that, you need to have an insurance company for your car here. So I went to an insurance company. The prices they gave me were actually slightly less than the price I was paying in premiums in Minnesota. So at that point, I had already paid $400 for the campground, and I paid for 6 months of car insurance. You can pay in monthly installments, that's okay. But I decided to do 6 months just because it was better for me, just that. But yes, you do have to have that amount with you. And I recommend make reservations in a campground before getting here, because as I say, or do what I did. I just went to the BLM area. I parked there for 2 or 3 nights until I got an opening in the campground I chose. Now, when it comes to minivan living, not all campgrounds will accept you. I tried because I thought, okay, if I have to stay in a campground, that was my first day thoughts. I was very jet lagged. I was going against everything I knew about nomadic life. I was going against that. I thought, if I am going to pay for a month of a contract to be there, I want a nice one with a swimming pool so I can go. It's winter. It's December. Even if it is Nevada, it is not that nice during the day for swimming. 50, 60, no more than that. And swimming is not that friendly at those temperatures. So I don't know what I was thinking. I blame the jet lag for that. I do. But in any case, going through the process, breaking it down to the minimal things, think of this. When you get to those nice campgrounds, they don't want you there. They don't want a minivan. They don't want an old motorhome. They want nice, new, fancy motorhomes, not minivans. No schoolies. No, schoolies are the school buses, right? No ambulance living or step truck living. They don't like that. They want nice motorhomes that are new because they are protecting their image. Some of them belong to hotel chains, and they want to keep a standard, which is okay because some people cater the customers they want to have, and that's okay. I cannot blame them. I don't think it is discriminating because it's okay. I mean, you can say we only cater to those with these ideas, and you're clear about that, so it's okay. So finally, I got these. If you're curious, the one I went to, the address is 101 Linda Street in Pahrump. That is the one I went for. The guy there is very nice, Joe. He didn't ask me anything. He said, yep, I just don't have any openings now. Come back in a few days. I did. We did the contract. I paid him. Actually, in the following days, I received a couple of packages. He kept them for me. That was very nice. That was very nice of him. So I got my contract. I got my insurance. I had the two things I actually needed for the DMV. There is one extra thing you need. You need another proof of residence that is not just the contract you have from the with the campground. You need an extra document as proof of residency. And I will show you here in a minute where to download it from, because actually the DMV has a form in their site that you have to download, print, and complete. Easy to complete. I will show you. You complete that form, and then you come to the DMV with your contract, with your insurance, and that form. And of course, documents. Oh, the sun is about to set. It's so beautiful. It just came from behind some clouds and it's about to set behind a mountain. So we have like 1 minute of light. And then when you come here with your driver's license from whichever state you live in, plus the campground contract, plus or hotel, and your insurance, and the form from the DMV website, you come here. You don't need to make an appointment as in the big cities. That is another thing why I think Pahrump is so popular, because it is, in the end, kind of a rural area outside of Vegas, north of Vegas. So because it is kind of more rural, you don't need an appointment. You just come in there, and that is the good old folks that help you. So friendly, so easy. People are so delightful. I am coming from Minnesota Nice, which is the standard. Everybody says people in Minnesota are very nice. Well, let me tell you, people in Pahrump, I don't know about the rest of the state, but in Pahrump, that is the real nice people. Those are really nice people who are friendly, who talk with you as a friend, as a good neighbor. I don't know, I felt so at home here. And I wish I could remember the name of the lady who helped me at the DMV. I think it's Carrie. If it is Carrie at the DMV in Pahrump, thank you. You were so helpful. Another big advantage while in Minnesota, if I renewed my driver's license, it would take me 6 to 8 weeks to get it by mail. In Pahrump, it's between 5 to 7 days. And it does work like that. I did get it immediately. Amazing. So that is amazing. I mean, I really appreciated that. So far, Pahrump is glory to me. What else? Oh yeah, your plates. You want to register your vehicle in the state where you're going to live. That way you don't need to communicate with your former state or go there. So for that, you need to also bring all the things you need to the DMV for the registration. And I personally, I decided to register the title of my minivan also here for one simple reason. If I lose it by any chance, I have to actually go to Minnesota because they cannot get it for me from here. I have to go to Minnesota and say, hey, I lost my title. I need a new one. That is what I found out. You may know differently. But in that sense, I thought, okay, I don't want to risk. Oh, the sun is setting now. I thought, I don't want to risk. I will transfer my title to Nevada. And I did. So that was another expense. I think it was $280 or something, $250 plus some other fees and the tabs and I don't know what else. So on and on, you have a lot of expenses, but it's a change of life. So you have to consider what you are going to do. Just know that you will have those expenses and you will have to use that money. But guess what? We are nomads. After you do that first investment in your future, after that, you're good. Well, in my case, I went a little bit further, of course, and I went to get my passport, and in order to get a passport, you have to go to the post office, yes, but I had to pay another $190 to have my picture taken, which was only $15, and the passport and the fees and blah blah blah, so almost $200 there, and I will get it in a few days. Oh, and the other thing is, after I had my new driver's license and transferred my registration, my plates, I put the new plates in, blah blah blah, all those good things. Now I have Nevada plates. After I did all of that, I went to mail service office. You cannot use their address for the drivers for the DMV, because you have to have a contract saying that you stayed in a place for 30 days. So you're not staying at a postal office, postal services, blah, blah, blah. You're not staying there, so you cannot use their address. What you do with that is you have a service that gets all your mail from wherever, and they can scan it and send it to you or destroy it. I already told Linda, the owner, I don't want brochures, I don't want coupons, I don't want anything, I don't want junk mail, so please get rid of that. And she was so kind. I am going to put a card of their business in case you want to use them. That one was $140. And if they are going to forward your mail to you, in case you're someplace else like New Mexico or Arizona, wherever, you need to give them about $30 or $40 is that they are going to have as a deposit in case they have to pay to send you those pieces of mail that you may need. Otherwise, they keep them there until you come back to Pahrump, in this case. And I do have a little key. The boxes are available 24/7. So I have a little key. I can go there and see what I have when I am in town. I am so pleased that everything went well. I am now a Nevada resident. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you make a great decision about what state you will be a resident of. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Share it with other people that may need to change their residency. And see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a great day.